I need to jump right on in because I do like to ramble. Connor was not lying. So let's jump right on in. If you have your Bibles, open up to Hosea chapter 8. Hosea chapter 8. If you don't own a Bible, we'd love to give you a Bible. We got Bibles back there. Please consider like our gift from us to you. Please take it, write in it. It's like a journaling Bible. It's nice. Please. Like we want you to have a Bible. So in high school, I was a bit of a troublemaker, right? None of us are perfect. So I was a bit of a troublemaker. And I remember hearing word from a dude saying, hey, yo, did you hear about Gio? Gio was talking mess about you. Now for a little context, right? I in high school, how can I put it? I tried to be a rapper. Right? I think it's just the easiest way to say it. I see some of y'all laughing. Y'all guys are wrong and messed up. But I tried to be a rapper, and so Gio supposedly dropped a diss track, and he was dissing me. And I was like, okay, cool. This is how we're going to settle it. We're going to fight, right? Connor tried to call me out one time on a diss track. I got it on my phone. Promise, Connor, I'm not going to fight you after the service, right? But this guy wanted to, I wanted to fight him. Well, someone caught word of that and ran all the way to Gio and warned him. They warned him, hey, Sly wants to fight. And so here I am in my first hip-hop beef. I want to settle the score. I want to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to fight this guy. And not only did they warn him, they warned the whole entire school. So by the time I got to Gio, like there was a crowd waiting saying, yo, this is about to be good. This guy Sly is about to fight. And this Gio, this is more than just like a hip hop battle in our local school. Like this is turning for real. We're going to see some blood. And the moment I got to him, he was very apologetic. He was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I really didn't say that the way it came out. Oh, it's been misinterpreted. Man, honestly, I never did a diss track. Like, honestly, dude, I respect you and I respect your game so much. Like, man, I could even see us collaborate and make a track together and things like that. And it went so much. Like, he was very apologetic because of this warning. He got scared. He's like, yo, I don't want to do this. And I was like, all right, bro, like today you don't get these hands in your life. Like today you get saved and today you're all right. And I guess I didn't get suspended and all that other stuff because he was warned and he was able to kind of course correct. Now, why do I share this? I'm sharing this because where we're at in Hosea, it starts off with a really big warning. It's a really big warning that they need to get their act together. Because if they don't course correct, they don't change, Israel is going to go down a path that they really do not want. If they don't apologize and do something different, God's wrath is coming, right? God is going to put His hands in their life if they did not change. And so this is a warning to them saying, hey, you need to go a different path. But I'm going to go ahead and say this as well. It's also a warning for us. It's a warning for you, it's a warning for me, it's a warning for all of us that if we don't take heed to God's warning, we will face wrath. And so ultimately, what are you going to choose? Like, are you going to hear these words and course correct and say, hey, man, the path that I'm on is not right, is not okay? Or are you going to continue on doing what you're doing and face God's wrath? Which of the two are you going to choose? And so if you're new, visiting us for the first time, you came and visited us last week, we kind of took a little break of the Hosea, and then we're deciding to jump right back in. The book of Hosea is what they call a minor prophet. It's found in the Old Testament, and it's ultimately to bring judgment upon Israel. And the book of Hosea is a very complicated book. It does get repetitive at times, but it's a very complicated book to interpret, a very complicated book to understand. So we have to look at the history and break it down, except for the first 3 chapters. The first 3 chapters are very clear on what it's trying to communicate. A guy named Hosea marries a lady named Gomer, and we don't know all the full details, but she ends up becoming a prostitute, having kids from a different guy, but man, Hosea faithfully loves her and cares for her. We see a letter of like divorce in there saying like, hey, but no, it doesn't happen. And he faithfully loves her and cares for her so much so that she ends up in this kind of life of prostitution, ending up in slavery. But Hosea being the type of man that he is and the care and the love that he had for her, he goes and purchases her, frees her, and says, hey, you are mine. Not as a property that needs to be worked in the kitchen, or a piece of property saying, hey, like I deserve this. No, he brings her home and says, hey, you are my wife, and I care for you, and I love you. And this is all one giant analogy to communicate God's love for us. That we sin. We worship other gods. That's that prostitution part. And we worship idols. We worship other things that are not God. And sacrifice ourselves to those things. Getting ourselves in a hole, in a mess that we can't escape. But God, being rich and good, still loves us. And the ultimate price that He paid was the blood on the cross. Allowing us our freedom. Allowing us to be in a relationship with Him. And so we've been looking at that and examining that story. And then God kind of breaks it down, what it means for the people of Israel. Like I mentioned before, the people of Israel were part of the northern kingdom. And things were going great for them. God was blessing them. But instead of saying, hey, look how awesome God is, look how He's blessing us, and looking how He's gifting us, it got to their head and they began things like, hey, look how awesome I am. Look how good I am. And they began to compromise in certain little areas, little small compromises. But little small compromises always lead to big, gigantic compromises. So God was like, hey, you need to get all these people out of the land. They didn't do that. God said, hey, don't worship these other gods. And they began to worship these other gods. And before you know it, little compromises led to big compromises. Ultimately, to the point is that this country no longer desired God, wanted anything to do with God, but lived for themselves. And that should be a warning to all of us here. That if you're a Christian, these little small compromises will get you further and further away from God. That by the time you look back, you have no idea how you got here. And you're kind of in a confused place that you have no idea how you can even get back to God. And for the non-Christian, you're down this path. You've been down this path. But the great and awesome thing is that we can have a way, and we can find a way to get back. So here we have Israel. They believe that their poo doesn't stink. They believe that they're great and they're awesome. And so here comes a proclamation for judgment. Set the trumpet to your lips. Like, get ready, blow the trumpet. It's a war trumpet. Get ready. Hey, an invasion is coming. Like, hey, here's the warning. Like, take care. This is the Amber Alert on your phone. This is the loud beeping before a tornado. Like, it's warning you. You're supposed to stop and, like, pay attention what's happening. Some of us, we're from Texas. We've never been, like, in real tornadoes and things like that. So we don't pay attention to those alarms. But if you knew that, like, at any point, like there's tornadoes everywhere, and at some point that tornado can hit you and that alarm goes off, you better believe you're going to hide in your bathtub or whatever you're supposed to do. I don't do any of that, so I wouldn't know. I'm bad. Here's the warning. It even goes on further. One like a vulture is over the house of the Lord. It's like when something is dead, you see the buzzards flying around. Like you know something is dead. It's letting you know, hey, something good has happened. Something good has not happened. Something bad has happened. And you better be careful. You better watch out. Because this thing is not what you believe it is. So it continues on, because they have transgressed my covenant. Again, this covenant, this idea of marriage language, covenant. They have entered a covenant with God and they have broken that. And they've rebelled against my law. To me they cry, my God, we, Israel, know you. They claim to know God. Israel has spurned the good, and the enemy shall pursue them. See, Israel's problem here is that they believe that they knew God, but the truth is they didn't really know Him. They may have knew parts about God, certain things about God, but they believed that those little things that they knew about God was all they could know about God. For example, like if I went to you and I knew that you really enjoyed pizza, and so when we do pizza night here, man, you get really excited. I don't know, you enjoy, Sabrina Carpenter, all right, she's your favorite artist, right? And then you wash your clothes on Saturday. And I go to you and I'm like, oh, hey, you're the pizza Sabrina Carpenter person. Hey, what's up? How you doing? How did that clothes go on Saturday? And every single time I interact with you, it's just those exact same 3 facts. That at the end, I think you would get to a point and be like, yo, like, this Sly guy, like, yo, he's a jerk. Like, that's all he cares to know about me. He doesn't want to know anything else other than my favorite food, my artist that I listen to from sometimes, and that I wash my clothes on Saturday. Like, that's all he really does and all he knows about me and all he really cares to know about me. You would think that I'm some kind of jerk or some kind of narcissist that only cares about myself and not about you. And that's Israel's point. They only cared about certain attributes about God, but didn't care about the totality of God and all the things God wanted him. And so they would claim, hey, we know God. But in reality, they truly didn't know him. They knew parts about God, aspects of a God, but they didn't know everything about God, because if they knew God, they would behave like that. Even the word know here, it's not like this, like, again, like this kind of like, hey, I know that person. It's this deep, intimate knowledge of like, I really know this person. Again, I've used the analogy here before, right? And every single time I bring it up, people are like, yo, Sly, I really think you're a stalker, right? But there was a time in my life where I didn't know my wife. I Facebook stalked her, though, and I got to see certain things about her, learned that her name was Michelle, right? Knew that her last name was Mann, right? Knew that she was one of 5, right? I knew things, I knew pictures, all that. Then I met her and I talked to her in person. I played dumb, like, oh, you got siblings? Like, I played really dumb, but I didn't know. But now that I'm faithfully married to her, we've been married for as long as we have. Today was actually our anniversary for engagement for 13 years. I got proposed to her 13 years ago, right? Even then, when I proposed to her 13 years, compared to now, like, I know her so much more deeply and intimately. Like, lately we've been kind of this weird kind of like game, like she says something and I'm like literally saying the same thing at the same time. Like, we're finishing each other's sandwiches, right? That's a Frozen reference if you don't get it. But we like are at that point, and I deeply, intimately know her. This is the type of knowledge that God's communicating here. They claim to deeply, intimately know God, but they really don't. And again, like I mentioned, this is a warning for us as well. Because I know many individuals here claim to know God. God is love. God's in the Bible. And they claim to just know the bare minimum about God, but their whole entire life, they live like they truly do not know him. And it's great that if we played Bible Jeopardy and we pulled up the questions and we start doing it, and Emma's over here clicking everything and we're doing it, and you could just rock out and you can win. It's great you can do that, but if you just leave here and live like twice the son of Satan or daughter of Satan, then what good is it that you have all this knowledge? What's good that you can do that? And I think this is a big danger for the ones that grew up in the church. That we have so many individuals that have grown up in the church and truly have a deep knowledge of God. Some of y'all, like man, like you grew up and you know all the Bible stories, and man, you had really good Bible teachers. They're breaking down the Greek and Hebrew, and you know some of this stuff, and you're great and awesome. But you truly are missing who God really is, because you will leave this place with all that knowledge and live your life like you truly don't know him. And God's saying, hey, that's a problem. And there's punishment because of that. He says, hey, listen, you're an enemy, and your enemies are coming, and they shall pursue you. So much so that they claim to know God, but they were actually worshiping idols. Verse 4 says this: they make kings, but not through me. They set up princes, but I knew it not. And we talked about this when we did our Heavy is the Head series, that the idea that God was always going to give them a king, was always going to give them from the very get-go. But ultimately, he wanted to be their king. He wanted to be the one to guide them and to lead them. They're like, no. We want our king our way. You give us the king the way we want the king. And they still have the same attitude and mentality. No. God, we don't need you to provide a leader for us. Hey, we're going to make our own leader who's going to guide us and lead us. With the silver and gold they made idols for their own destruction. I have spurned your calf, O Samaria. My anger burns against them. How long will they be incapable of innocence? For it is from Israel, a craftsman made it. It's not from God. The calf of Samaria shall be broken into pieces. Even in chapter 10, look, verse 5 real quick, you still hear about this calf. They continue to talk about this calf, and it's kind of the introduction of this one calf that you'll see. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder who's preaching after me, but so much so that they would have this calf in the middle of their services, and they would all come up and kiss it. Like, could you imagine you being like the last one in line, all right, to kiss the calf? Like, I ain't doing that. Like, but that's what they would do. But then we'll see that later on in the next couple of weeks. But 10:5 says this: the inhabitants of Samaria tremble for the calf of Bethaven. Its people mourn for it, and so do its isolated priests, who rejoice over it and over its glory, for it has departed from them. That they were worshiping this calf. They cared for this calf, like they made their own idols. Again, this idea of calf communicates fertility, also communicates strength, and that's what they would bow down to in worship. And they would come and they would do all these different things to honor it, forgetting that it was God who blessed them and God who gave them everything. Now, yes, it's true that there's countries currently right now, religions currently right now that have all these different idols that people worship. And I would say countries, I could even say here, there's people groups in the United States. You go to different parts of Houston even, right? For example, like where my mother-in-law lives in Sugar Land, again, about 30, 40, 45 minutes away from here, there's this like big, giant, like monkey god statue they have up there, and you can literally drive it. I mean, this big thing is just tall, it's big, and you can see it from far away. And people go there on a weekly basis and worship this monkey god. Yeah, people worship and people have idols all over the place. The crazy thing about Israel is that Israel knew better. They knew better. And the truth is, I think for many of us, we do still have idols. Now, we may not be driving to Sugar Land and worshiping some kind of weird monkey god, but some of us surely have idols that we bow down to and we worship. Tim Keller was one of my favorite theologians, RIP to Tim Keller. But Tim Keller said this. He said, anything more important to you than God, anything that, it's describing what is an idol, to describe what is an idol. This is what he says, anything more important to you than God, anything that absorbs your heart and imagination more than God, anything you seek to give you that what only God can give you, that ultimately is an idol. So think about all the different things that you possibly interact with. What are those things that pull you away from God? That to you are more important than God? That absorb your heart? That absorb your affections? That spend your time and energy? Maybe even money that you give to? That ultimately may mean that you have an idol. And the issue isn't just idol worship. The problem is that when you have an idol, you ultimately begin to do what idol worshipers do. This is kind of the whole argument that he ends up building up to. If you look at chapter 9, verse 10, he says this. He says, I, like grapes in the wilderness, I found Israel. Like the first fruit of the fig trees in its season. He's God saying, hey, listen, when I first encountered you, I saw you like a person who's in the desert for days and finds grapes. It's refreshing. It's awesome. It's amazing. I'm glad I found it. Or a fig, something sweet, gives me some energy. It's an awesome, wonderful surprise. I don't know, it'd be like you going on a long road trip and you really got to go to the restroom. And then out of nowhere, you see that sign, Buc-ee's 5 miles away. It's like that. You're pulling up. You get to run to the restroom. It's refreshing. It's great. It's what you were looking for and what you needed at that time. But they came to Baal Peor. And this is from Numbers chapter 25. If you want to dive deeper and study this more. They came to Baal Peor and they concentrated themselves to the thing of shame. Ultimately calls that God shame, like it's shameful. What they did was shameful. And became detestable like the thing they loved. Ultimately, they worshipped here the Moabite god. And when they worshipped the Moabite god, they committed Moabite sins. And that's detestable. And that's shameful. And what they did, it wasn't good. See, idol worship is a big deal, and why it becomes a huge deal. It's more than just like, oh man, they're just, listen, they're also worshiping God, and they're worshiping this other idol. Again, this is what the first 3 chapters are. This is idolatry. This is cheating. God doesn't want anything like that. Ask any married person, meet a married person. Say, hey, would you be okay with your spouse going out on Friday nights to date another person from their work as official date? Would that be okay with you? Everybody would tell you, no, that's not okay. That doesn't happen in my house. It's not okay. But on top of that, it's a big deal for God because it ends up leading you to do the things that idol worshipers do. So ultimately, guys, I got to ask a question, I think for all of us, like, what's that thing that you worship? And again, this is the dangerous part because I think all of us, right, will probably tend to say, no, there's nothing I worship. I think we still got deep ingrained in our minds that idol worship is, again, some statue, some figurine, something that you got to bow down to. Like, I think it's so easy sometimes, especially for Baptists. I'm going to go ahead and kind of ramble against my Baptists, right? My Baptists tend to be really critical towards my Catholic brothers and sisters in Christ because they do have figurines. That's part of their worship, right? And they see those figurines, and because we've been so trained that, hey, idol worship is figurines, we quickly jump on that and we criticize that, forgetting that we worship all these different things all the different time. We worship all these different things, and we bow down to it and give our energy and our resources and our money. We do all these things all the time for all these different idols. Now, some of you may be asking, Sly, no, I don't think I do that. Okay, cool. But I like to disagree with you. Like, I was hearing a song, added to the playlist that we have out there. It's a collective, and some of y'all may have heard it for the past few weeks, but it's Josiah's Queen's Dusty Bibles. Some of y'all heard that song, right? And the way he starts off the song is like, we got dust on our Bibles, brand new iPhones, and we wonder why we feel this way. But then the chorus, like he says the same thing, right? We have dust on our Bibles, brand new iPhones, and we wonder why we feel this way. We walk with our eyes closed, blind leading blind folks, and I'm done with those idols and dusty Bibles. And I think for some of us, man, when that new iPhone 17 came out, and we saw that we can get it like for free with the plan, like, some of you are like, I need that upgrade. That if you went into your phone and you looked at your screen time, like, it'd probably be something crazy. Like, some of y'all, like, when Sunday comes around and you get that notification of your screen time, you're just like, whoop, like, I'm not going to even look at that. Because you know it's some kind of insane number that you can't even imagine of how many hours you just kind of spent, you kind of thrown away to do that. So much so, like it's a problem with young adults and phones, right? Statistics, right, on the prevalence of anxiety, right, began to find out. They did studies of like people, like in their relationship with their phones. Like a statistic came out, right, prevalence of anxiety with people without having their phone. They even came up with the term for it. It's called nomophobia. It's called nomophobia. People are just like, get anxious the moment they don't have their phone on them. And there's been different studies, right, with different conclusions. But for the most part, they kind of came to the conclusion that 44% of U.S. adults experience anxiety when separated from their phones. The BBC, kind of looking more towards Europe, goes closer to 50% that teenagers, right, some of you are kind of still in those teen years, right, feel anxious without a smartphone. Even more so, like more kind of statistics about that, younger people and women are more likely to experience nomophobia. Right? For example, a UK study found that 60% of 18 to 24-year-olds and 25 to 34-year-olds felt anxious without their phones, compared to 34% of those over 55. So 6 out of 10 in this room, that if you didn't have your phone on you, your heart just begins to flutter and you begin to freak out just a little bit. If you're not constantly getting that dopamine hit of the notifications, like, your life kind of spiraling out of control. And I know I sound like such a boomer saying all this and criticizing this, like, man, what does that old guy know? But I'm saying that because, like, that's me as well. Like, I feel that pull. And what's robbing my affection, as Keller said, my affection and my heart and my attention, yeah, sometimes it's that phone. And I think it's such an easy idol for all of us to see. That some of us, man, instead of spending time in our words, I remember like I was talking to Tucker, and I forgot exactly what I was talking about, but I was talking about a video I was watching. He's like, hey, it was football, and I had it on my phone. He's like, yo, how many Mike Winger videos did you watch over your phone? And I know he was kidding, but it was like some truth behind that. Like for every hour we spent on our phone, like what would it look like if we spend that same hour just in the Word? Like what it would look like for every 30 minutes we spent kind of like doom scrolling on Instagram and on TikTok, that we spent some time in just worship and in prayer. Like, what would our lives look like? And again, I know it sounds like this kind of old man, but when I'm looking at this idea of idolatry, again, I'm not trying to be legalistic, but I think the phone symbolizes so many things for so many folks. It's connection to the world. You got connection with friends. It's opportunity to make money, networking, like all these different things that we put our hope and trust in. Like we have it at our fingertips. And what would it look like if we said, no, God, like I'm putting my hope and trust in you and not on this device? What would our life look like? And what you see continually in the book of Hosea is kind of this dogging on this kind of like idol. Like you even see it here, like it's made with metals. Like y'all make this. The God, the creator of the universe, created these metals. And you make, like what kind of God do you have that you have to make? Like Hosea's kind of teasing them, making fun of them. Saying, hey, listen, you're sowing some silly things. It reminds me of like my missionary friend in Japan. One time he was talking to a Buddhist. And then if you ever go into one of the temples in Asakusa, it's a very famous temple that they have. And as you enter in, they have these two kind of Jafar-looking demons guarding the gates. And they literally say that they're demons guarding as you enter to the temple. And the reason why they do that is that they're there. These demons are there to protect the God. And my buddy's like, yo, like, why does your God need protection? Like, is your God not strong enough to fight anything off? And then it created a perfect opportunity to say, hey, but can I tell you about my God who doesn't need bouncers, who doesn't need backup, but is able to defend and completely fight for himself? Listen, if you begin to break down how silly it is and how silly your idol is, you would want to throw it away in a heartbeat. We need to seek the Lord and seek Him. So next is our reaping section that we're going to look at here in the book of Hosea. We can look at chapter 8, verse 7, for example. You see this kind of terminology of sowing and reaping all over this section. But 7, it says, for they sow the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. The standing grain has no heads, and it shall yield no flour. If it were to yield, strangers would devour it. It's beginning to kind of have this communication saying, listen, your actions are not going to get you the benefits that you think it's going to get. Right? 9, 7 through 9 has this exact same terminology. It's like I said, it's all over this chapter. 7, 9 says this. 9, 7 says this. The days of punishment have come. The days of recompense have come. Israel shall know it. The prophet is a fool. The man of the Spirit is mad. Because of your great iniquity and great hatred. He's saying, hey, listen, you're over here saying that the prophets of God are crazy. You're saying that the preacher is insane. You're saying the man who's pursuing God and chasing after God, telling you that you're wrong. You're saying that they're not smart. That's a problem. That's not good. The prophet is the watchman of Ephraim with God, yet a fowler snare is on its way, and the hatred is in the house of God. They have deeply corrupted themselves, as in the days of Gibeah, and he shall remember their iniquity. He will punish their sins. And I know that it mentions hatred. And I know sometimes when we talk about God, like God's a God of love, like why is he saying hatred and things like that? Let me just kind of break this thing down real quick for you. Is this idea of hatred is expressing rejection. It's not necessarily like, hey, like when you really hate somebody, you think about it all day, like, oh, I really hate that person. Man, I'd just be awesome if they just kind of fell and just kind of busted their face. Like when we think of hatred, like that's kind of what we're thinking about. But here, hatred is not necessarily used like that. It means rejection. It's like when my kids, like Reuben, some of y'all saw Reuben just running around, just crying and trying to punch people and things like that, right? This kid hates all vegetables. So when we do broccoli at our house, he'll still be like, Dad, broccoli, bleh. Like he does that every single time. Bleh. I'm like, buddy, come on, you got to eat broccoli. No, I hate broccoli. So is my son literally up at night on his pillow saying, broccoli, if I could find a way to get rid of it, like go to H-E-B and destroy all the broccolis and then get rid of it. And then somehow if I can find a way to get to the farmers and get rid of all of it and destroy it and wipe it off the face of the earth. Because it just gets me angry and mad and it's just disrupting my peace. Like, no, like I think the only person who may feel like that is Reese, right, about broccoli. But I think for everybody, for most people, I pick on Reese when it comes to food about everything. But like for most people, like when we say we hate something, it's not like it's disturbing our peace. Like, oh, do you like that restaurant? Oh, no, I hate Cane's. It's like not wrecking your peace or messing you up. It's just like, hey, rejection. It's a way that we tend to say, hey, I really, really don't like it. That's this idea. God's rejecting them because they've rejected Him. And here it says, hey, listen, There's this happening here in the house. Why? Because listen, they're just sowing some things, and now they're reaping the consequences for it. 10 verses 1 through 2 says this: Israel is a luxuriant vine that fields its fruit. The more his fruit increased, the more altars he built. As the country improved, he improved his pillars. Their heart is false. Now they must bear their guilt. The Lord will break down their altars and destroy their pillars. Like I mentioned before, Israel thought that they were big, they were mighty, they were powerful because of what they've done. Here God's reminding them, saying, hey, listen, every single blessing I gave you, what did you do with it? You used it just to worship idols. So because of that, listen, punishment is coming. You're going to face the consequences because I blessed you with things, and what did you do? You used it for your own selfish desires. You used it for yourself. 8:13, I'm kind of hopping around, but 8:13 says this: as for my sacrificial offerings, they sacrificed meat and eat it, but the Lord does not accept it. Now he will remember their iniquity and punish their sins. They shall return to Egypt. I think so many times, for some of us, we feel like we come to a place like this and we're worshiping and you're lifting up your hands, but you feel like your song, your worship is going nowhere. Maybe some of us have been in places where we've prayed and we're up at night praying and we feel like our prayers don't hit the ceiling. And here, he's letting you know, it's like, hey, listen, it's because of your selfish worship. Your worship isn't authentic. Your worship isn't good. You believe that you can do these things on your own. Your mentality was that I don't necessarily need God. And I think for some of us, we just run to anything as long as it isn't God until we get to a point where we feel like we need God. Then we're crying out to Him. Then we're wanting Him to come in and save us. Then we're wanting Him to do all this stuff. But you refuse to go to God. What's stopping you from going from God? Is it control? You got to control the situations. If you gave your life fully to God, man, you're just not sure what He may do with your life. Is it pride? You think you know better than God on how your life should go? Like, what are those things that you continue to run to? What are those idols that you continue to seek? And here in 13, and you'll see in chapter 9, verse 3, you see this idea to Egypt. And isn't that Israel ever goes back to Egypt? No, it's that Israel's going back to a place of captivity. Egypt symbolizes captivity. He's saying, hey, you're going to go back to captivity. Their strength, their power is going to be wiped completely away from them. Their comforts, their joy is going to be completely taken away, and they're going to be put in a place where they have to live and be slaves once again. And this time, it was going to be the Assyrian army. Listen, for some of you, you continue to chase after thing after thing after thing. You've bowed down to all these different idols. And for your idols, it could be anything. It could be from anything from the phone to, you name what, a relationship, friendship, money, so on and so forth. But eventually, if you continue to go down that way, it will destroy you. And the common argument I get all the time is like, well, hey, Sly, it's just a little bit, right? But here's the thing, a little bit will lead you far away from God, and that's what was happening with them. You make small compromises, it leads you further and further away from God. For example, like if you were in San Francisco and your goal was to go to New York, but the pilot, when they left, just went 1 degree south, you would end up in Miami. Like that's how big, just like 1 degree can change it. Like in physical, just imagine spiritually. Listen, you don't make any compromises, because what ends up happening and what is happening here is that Israel is about to reap what they have sown. And they have sown destruction. They're about to receive destruction over and over again. So ultimately, Hosea is leaving you at a point for you to decide. What are you going to choose? Hosea 10:12 says this, and this is our third point. Decide. You have to decide. 10:12 says this: sow for yourself righteousness, reap steadfast love, break up your fallow ground, for it is the time to seek the Lord, that He may come and rain righteousness upon you. You have plowed iniquity, you have reaped injustice, you have eaten the fruit of lies, because you have trusted in your own way and in the multitude of your warriors. Therefore, the tumult of war shall rise among your people, and all your fortress shall be destroyed. As a Shalman destroyed Beth Arbel on the day of battle, mothers were dashed into pieces, and their children. Thus it shall be done to you, O Bethel, because of your great evil. At dawn, the king of Israel shall be utterly cut off. This is a case study for all of us. That you have two options. What are you going to sow? Because what you sow is what you're going to reap. Again, we don't farm. And I could be wrong. Maybe some of y'all farm. Let me be careful with that. The majority of us don't farm. We don't have different seasons where we're like, oh, now it's time to plant corn. Like, we don't do that. We go to HEB, right? Like, that's what we do. But if you're not careful what you reap, of what you sow, then you got to be careful on what you're going to reap. So what are you going to do? What are you going to invest in? Because what you invest in is what you're going to get rewarded in. And Hosea is leaving this decision up to Israel, and this is for us to begin to make that decision. What are we going to put our energy and our time and our effort into? He challenges them. Hey, listen, sow righteousness. And if you do that, you'll reap God's steadfast love. Do this. And this terminology continues in the New Testament. Galatians 6, verse 7 says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that he will reap. For the one who sows of his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption. But the one who sows from the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. Ultimately, for Israel's main problem, it was self-reliance. They were relying all on themselves, their worship, their way, the way we're going to do these things. Here, Galatians 6 is communicating the same thing. Some of us, man, we feel like we can do all these things on ourselves, realizing, listen, we have no control over anything in our lives. And the quicker we can realize that, the better off we're going to be. So what are we going to do? Because Israel thought that they could buy other places and other countries' loves. 8:9. For they have gone up to Assyria, a wild donkey wander alone. Ephraim has hired lovers. They believed they could hire his love, not realizing that God's love was for them and his love was free. God's love for you is free. You don't have to chase after other things. You don't have to worship other things. You don't have to seek all these different things. Because listen, God, everything you're looking for and everything you're seeking is already found in the person of Jesus Christ, and it's offered to you for free. So the question you have to ask yourself when you're beginning to interact with certain things is like this. Does this cause me to love God more or less? Does this push me closer to God or further away? And if you want to ask all these different things that I mentioned, all these different idols that we worship, ask yourself that question. Does it push me closer to God or does it push me farther away from God? That relationship that you're with. Does that boyfriend push you closer to God or further away from God? Does that girl push you closer to the worship of the Lord, or does she push you away? Does that job make you just passionate to live for Jesus, or does it make you just want to not go closer to Him at all? These are the questions we should ask ourselves about all these different things that we're interacting with. We worship God, and when we worship God, we try to become like Him. But when you worship idols, you try to become like the idols. So examine the Word, guys. This is my challenge for you through the book of Hosea is examine the Word and examine your life. Because 2 Corinthians 3:18 says this, we all, with unveiled faces, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree to glory to another. For this comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. It's this idea that we're being transformed by Jesus. But with that is we have to take off the veil and look into Jesus like a mirror. And this is the Word. This is the best way that we can get Jesus. That when we see how Jesus was, we begin to behave like that. When we see that Jesus was kind, we try to be kind like that. And it's a mirror that we hold up and we examine and see hey, do I got that lettuce in my teeth from Jimmy John's? Do I have that tomato? I know some of y'all saying, hey, Sly, can you quit putting tomatoes in Jimmy John's? Well, we'll see what we can do. Do I got mayonnaise on my beard? Like, am I looking okay? And it's removing all the things that don't look like Jesus so that you can begin to look like by Jesus. But here's the thing, like as this passage says, it's from one degree of glory to another. It doesn't happen overnight. For some of you, radical transformation needs to happen. Some of y'all need to break up with some people. Some of y'all need to delete some apps. Some of y'all need to make some radical changes. And that's going to be big and huge. But for some others that have been faithfully following Jesus and we haven't seen everything happen all at once, listen, it's a moment by moment, walking with Jesus every single step of the way. And a lot of this stuff and a lot of these changes that we desire to see, it's not going to happen overnight. But it's going to happen. Right? Like if you go to the gym because you want to get stronger, right? Like you're not going to be able to pick up the heaviest weights like day one. But if you go at it little by little, every single day, hey, listen, gradually you'll start making these changes and you're able to do that. Same thing with Jesus. It takes time. But are you willing to do that? Because listen, all these different idols, the crazy thing is when we chase them, you get that instant gratification. But you also get that instant shame as well. But can I let you know, like with Jesus, you never face that shame? With Jesus, you never get that? And so my challenge for some of you is to pursue Jesus and chase after Jesus. And what we want to do with this book of Hosea is really create an opportunity for you to ask for repentance. And so we would love for all of everybody right now just to bow your heads. And we're going to pray. What are the idols that you're clinging on to? What are the idols that you're holding on to? And we really want to create this time in this moment for you to confess those things. You don't have to confess it to anybody, but if you feel like you need to, we're going to have people in the back that would love to pray for you and just to hear you out. But if not, like, man, we'd love for you to use your chair as an altar. You can just kind of kneel at that chair and just pray. You can come up here and pray up front. You can go, man, we got these curtains. You can go on the other side of the curtains and pray. And really ask the Lord, God, here I am. Just asking for repentance. I'm tired of living this life. I'm ready to drop this thing and pursue you and chase after you. And for some, man, maybe you've never put your faith in Jesus Christ. You've been worshiping these idols, not knowing any better. Man, we'd love for you to pray with somebody and talk to somebody today how you can begin to follow Jesus today, because you don't have to worship idols anymore and do the things that idol worshipers do. But you can do the things that Christ followers do, and I can tell you, it's great, it's awesome, it's sweet. So Lord, we just want to come before you, God, and say, great is your faithfulness. God, because you carry us through from moment to moment, from thing to thing, never abandoning us and never leaving us. Even though we leave you, you don't leave us. So God, we just want tonight to say, God, we're ready to leave these things. We're ready to leave these idols. We're ready to sow, as the passage said, righteousness so we can reap your steadfast love. So God, guide us, lead us, and be with us. In all these things we ask. In the name of Jesus Christ we do pray.